Well, for me, Coach Michael, I would like to know, who were you when you were 13, 14 in Las Vegas, and obviously trying to navigate this beautiful sport that we like when it comes to soccer?
Man, 13, 14-year-old me. I was just starting competitive youth club. I started off awfully late, mainly because growing up until the age around 11, 12, I had health issues
Yeah.
growing up. So once I officially got cleared is when I got the opportunity. I was playing local Hispanic leagues, Mexican league, and then through my dad's boss, who owned a company, he sponsored LVSA at the time. And so when LVSA happened, it was fresh, and the opportunity came. Obviously, we're a low-income family, so we really couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So that's why we never even turned in a club or anything about it. But luckily, with the support of the owner, he sponsored me. And then it became me just playing for a coach to my dad getting involved in coaching our team.
Yeah.
And slowly, I just took it from there. I did when I made the jump. I did start in field. Before I had my health issues, I was in goal. I was doing good in goal, and then eventually, my health issues struck me. I tried to come back and be a goalie. Suffered a pretty bad shoulder surgery. So as a young guy, I was always a mental thing.
Yeah.
It was my left shoulder, so me trying to always dive on my left side, I just couldn't get it blocked out of my mind at the time. So I went to playing field. I did field for around 3-4 years. My last year of club, I kind of did a little bit of the conversion of going back into goal. Unfortunately, on my final year, which is my senior year in high school, playing Mayor's Cup, my last showcase, I had a few offers, and it was basically my commitment night. I had to make a decision on what we wanted to do against a team in Arizona in quarterfinals that break my leg.
Yeah.
So kind of fell in the loophole of like depression and just checked out of the whole football world, because that was all I was working for, right? That's all I knew. And so I did take a year, almost 2 years of just me recovering first, and then I just didn't I didn't know what to do afterwards, right?
Yeah.
I tried college for a little bit. I was decent, did what I had to do with my grades. Fortunately for me, I had met a few people through playing indoor, just for the fun of it. I got the opportunity to play for the national Guatemalan team.
Yeah.
I'm in indoor. They were going to Australia, and basically, with a month notice, I went in there blindsided. The only thing I did was train, see how it goes. No expectations whatsoever. One, because I basically hadn't touched the ball in a few years.
For sure.
But the opportunity came, and how can you not say no, right, to that? So we went out there, flew 36 hours, and it was my first time that I flew on my own.
For sure.
I never had flown. When I would fly to Guatemala or fly to other cities, I always had my parents, right? So basically had to grow up a little quicker than I thought, and I made the jump and I flew out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like I had so many questions that I wanted to ask you, but there's things here that I'm learning about you that I didn't know, right? With how many years I've known you, like just even the injuries. And I think a lot of times in our position, and especially when it comes to kids of that age, like when you got hurt, something so harsh like a shoulder injury really, determines where they go. I think most kids end up quitting, and then from then on end up deciding to say, like you said, I'll become a field player. And that just, sticks in their head. So to me, I think it's amazing that besides the 2 big injuries, you're still playing, right? Because, I mean, I know this personally, but I know you stopped playing theoretically recently, and then you're back now, right? So I think when it comes to those kind of things, I would love to know more about, like, the times that you doubted yourself, right? The times that you felt like, is this something that should be happening? Or did you feel like as that time happened, then you got the cool call of, like, the Guatemalan national team, and now it's like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Well, I mean, for me, when the injury happened, right, I was, 17, 18. I did what I did. I did as good as I could in school, because you know how it was back then. If you didn't have a good GPA, if you didn't have good grades, I mean, you couldn't even consider going to college, right? So that was my motivation to do good in school, knowing that my grades were going to put me somewhere, right? And I think for me, what hit me was that I actually had opportunities for full rides, right? Like I had UNLV, I had Irvine. I had Cal Poly, you know, at the time when I was there. I mean, those were big schools, you know.
Yeah.
Irvine was a good school. Cal Poly's always been up there, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, my goal was honestly, I always wanted to stay here. I wanted to represent my city because I'm born and raised here, right?
For sure.
It's the city in Nevada has given me so much, right, soccer wise, and so I was like, you know, it would be great to put on jersey on, right?
Yeah.
And so it hit me hard because I worked so hard for this for years, right? 6-7 years of just hard work, getting into sessions and putting in the work extra in school, and then, you know, an accident like that happens and they tell you you're out for a year, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I didn't need surgery, but the rehab process, am I really gonna be able to
Come back,
kick a ball right, and all that stuff? Like when I came back and I tried, even when I got off the crutches and I got off the cast, I was scared to walk.
For sure.
You know, because
I couldn't even imagine like even thinking of diving.
Yeah. So all of that, like the diving process, everything was just it was a mental battle, right? And I think what hit me harder was, okay, I basically broke my leg on my last year of commitment, right?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
You know, I'm playing catch up with guys who already basically left me behind, right? And so for me, it was a mental thing where I did check out of it, right? Because I was like, well, this got taken away from me. What am I gonna do? Just go back to playing locals, right?
Yeah.
And when the opportunity came of going back to going to the national team, if I feel that if it wasn't for that, the motivation wouldn't have came back.
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
And my dad played professionally. He was always a goalie. He played professionally goalie, and so, but he never got the opportunity to play at the national team level. He got called for Olympics, but because he couldn't afford basically the bus ticket at the time, which was $2.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford that, and the parents just couldn't. He didn't have that support back in the time, and the financial. He missed on it.
Yeah.
You know, and now, fast forward, I get the opportunity. You know, and so that was also a motivation that I wanted to make my parents proud and to let them know that maybe he couldn't do it, but I'm doing it for him, right?
Yeah.
That kind of brought me that motivation.
Yeah.
To like, okay, you know, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm just gonna go as hard as I can on it, and if something comes out of this tournament, it comes out of it, right?
Yeah, no, and I think it's beautiful because I feel like a lot of times stories like this are what's missed out on, especially with us as, you know, the culture of the immigrants that come into this country. When you hear of players, right, you always have that joke like, oh, el tío, you know, the tío that didn't play. If it wasn't for my leg, you know, I would have been. But you have stories like that of people that make it, because I think a lot of times, you know, us as competitors, when you start to weave out the competition, you kind of, you know, incorrectly look down on like those that didn't make it because you feel like you made it a certain level. And then when you think about, you know, people that you know that did make it a different level, then you think like, oh, that's maybe how they look on me. But I know for a fact, I mean, as people that you know and we all know, like, where, you know, they're MLS players or national team players, to them it's like, oh, it's beautiful you're still playing. You know, it's the middle ground for us that a lot of times falls behind, right? And I think a lot of times for us, like you saying that, like, it's one of those things where the doubt sets in, right? The questioning sets in, but I have a motivation of my dad or a family member or whatever, right? Like, me, I go back when you talk about your knee injury of Kevin Partita, right? MLS player for God knows how many years, 3-4, you know, ACLs, and he tells me like, who's gonna want me now?
Yeah.
And it's like every year it's happening, and he's such a amazing athlete when it comes to that. Or even someone like Emberly that we both know, that has a shoulder reconstruction surgery twice, still goes pro, still does what she does in Denmark, and then is considered probably, you know, the best goalkeeper, male or female, out of Las Vegas. So when you have stories like that, man, I think it's so amazing to think about all the things, because now I want to know, like, what are things that you feel you sacrificed? Things you feel that you felt like now at your, you know, young age of 28 to think, okay, I know that now I'm catching up in life, or do you feel like, nah, everything I did was worth it?
I mean, for me, everything I've done has been worth it, right? But obviously there's always sacrifice,
For
right?
sure.
Because, for example, I think I was so in my zoning and focused on, I want to go to college. I want to be the best version of myself on the field that I can, regardless if it was me being in the goal or me being on the field. I was so committed to finding the extra sessions and to put in the same repetitions that turned me into I feel I also had it did a thing on me of becoming an introvert.
Yeah.
Not the most social guy out there.
For sure.
And because I didn't want no distractions. I didn't want to go out. I cut socializing to focus on this, because for me, if I felt like if I didn't stay in my lane and stayed straight, I was gonna ruin it, right? I felt like I was gonna eventually get caught on something that I didn't want to be a part of, and I was taking time out of my goal.
For sure.
Right? And I basically, my family and I, we live, breathe the sport, right? And for us, we've always been the kind of, we're gonna commit to something and we're gonna set our goal in something. We're gonna go 100%.
Yeah.
Right? We're gonna put our whole foot in the gas, and that's part of me now. Like it still lurks me where I'm not the most social guy out there. I'm pretty picky, you know, when it comes to being in certain areas or being in big crowds. But it has to do with that I was so focused and I was so in my zone of, you know what, eventually I'll enjoy it and I'll have my fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you know, it's a little bit different, right? People try to find the balance,
Yeah.
or they want to juggle both things. And next thing you know, you're lacking in certain departments on the field, or you're not responding the same way because you're still trying to balance things out, right? And that was something that I always feared. I didn't want to do that. And so I didn't do. That's why I was homeschooled in high school. I chose not to play high school. I chose not to play middle school. Because I was like, you know what? That's just gonna take time out of me. You know, when we commit to high school sports or school sports in general, they don't want you to be playing in club. And when I started seeing that kids weren't showing up because they're playing middle school, they're playing high school, I was like, no,
that was a window.
That was a window for me to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make the most out of it. You know?
And I think a lot of that goes back with, like, you know, our idea as goalkeepers. I think, you know, anyone who watches this or any parent who watches this understands with, you know, that saying how goalkeepers are weird. And it's something because recently, you know, I found out that there's accounts on social media about hockey goalkeepers because people love them. And it's funny because in our world, it's kind of like we're the outcasts, right? We're the ones that don't really fit in whatsoever. But I think with that, like you were saying, like so many things connect because, like, I just got a text message from Emerson right now who told me, dude, cancel practice, coach. Barcelona just, you know, the remontada with Atleti, like, I'm going to be late. And for me, my first thought, because I'm identifying with you on those where I remember watching the World Cup and thinking, like, these guys don't care who I am. Why do I care for them? Let me go train, you know? And I navigate that to everything so far that I've done when it comes to KRONIS or my playing or whatever I've done, or people that I'm around, because I think the same way, you know? If you're going to find the balance of, I still want to have a personal life, I still want to become the best youth goalkeeper I can, I want to go to college, like, none of it fits. And I think until you're into the older ages and you realize that's where you messed up. And with that, like, I want to think, like, what are excuses that you think come up for us or for you that you feel, you know, that's common things that you hear now, especially you transitioning into the coaching world?
I mean, where do we start?
Right?
Where do we start?
Yeah.
You know, some people want to make an excuse out of, I mean, I understand representing, watching and supporting your country, right? But many people make an excuse, oh, well, Mexico's playing. Or so-and-so's playing. You know what, I'm going to make it a little bit later, or I just can't make it. You know, or certain television events that are going on, like the Super Bowl. Oh, you know what, I can't make it. Stuff like that. Or, you know, people nowadays, you know, they're young, they have their girlfriends, you know. For the females, they have their boyfriends, and sometimes they plan these events, and maybe we have something planned, right? Or it hits in the same dam, and that's where I think you got to have your priorities straight. You know, what do you want to do? Find that sweet balance of how much are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you want to be?
For sure.
Right? And I think also, you know, you and I come from a different generation than the one now.
Yeah, I mean, a harder one for sure.
Yeah, you know, back when we were growing up, you know, I'm sure your parents were the same, you know. It was blood, sweat, and tears to invest in us and to do what we're doing, right? And we never took it for granted, right? Because we knew that my dad's or my mom or my dad is making, who knows, 12 an hour, 10 an hour back in the day, and they're still trying to make magic happen in order for me to get paid, go play, pay for my traveling fees, pay for all this to play. So the least I can do as a kid is beyond it, right? And let them get their money's worth out of me. And I feel that at least now, you know, some kids take that for granted. Right? They're like, oh, well, I'll just show up tomorrow or I'll make up for it the next day. You know, I think that's where the mindset we're already starting wrong, right?
Yeah.
Where we're making you know what, I won't do it today, but I'll do it tomorrow. And when we start having that kind of mindset, then it becomes something small to something big to something bigger. And next thing you know, you're in your last year of trying to find something, and now you're playing catch up. Now you want to add the pressure that you didn't add 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? And so I think that, you know, nowadays at least it's easier to get transportation, right?
Oh yeah, for
you
sure.
know, back with us, it was either public bus or you're walking or you're
bike,
not going, or you're taking a bike.
Yeah.
We didn't have the Ubers, we didn't have the Lyfts, none of that. Or, you know, we can communicate to a certain extent with people to try to get a ride. Now you can get a phone and you can reach out to anyone.
Yeah,
you can use any app, right? And sometimes that's still an excuse. Like, you know, we have one of our kids and he Ubers here.
He Ubers here, yeah.
And he's, what, how old is he? Maybe
14, 15, yeah.
14, and if he can do it, you know,
and
why can't someone else?
You know, and it's funny like that, because I remember, like, for example, even in college, like, just for me to get rides was so hard, and I think, like, I wish we had Uber back then. I know damn well I didn't have money for that, but you would assume, like, life would be easier. And even going back with, you know, how you said, like, you connect with so many people where, you know, in our generation, especially here in Las Vegas, maybe in other places different, you knew how many goalkeepers were around that you could maybe train with. Like, for my generation, right, like, I had Danny Saletti, I had Pedro, I had maybe Roger, and then that was it. So if you didn't train, if you didn't know those guys, like, that was it. That was the only group to be around. And then you go into the 95s, 98s, right? You throw in the Thomas Olsens and all the other guys.
Well, I had Enrique.
You had Enrique. Like, your class is such a good one also, right? With you, Enrique, you have Miguel Navarrete, like, all, like, the goalkeeper starts to add up at that point, right? But so does the connection to be able to make friends. Where, like, I remember telling some of the kids, you know, and because Emberly's here, it was like, you can message these people and just copy the session I did and just go do it again. But we know that in our time, like, just even think of a, you know, where are you gonna go train? Or middle school, Freedom Park, like, that was so hard. And I remember me as a 93, the closest and best training I got with it were with the 89s. And those guys were like a whole different cloth, right? Like, when I think about guys that grew up in the 90s, like, that they did their formidable years in the 90s versus me making my formidable years into the 2000s, that's two generations of different kind of players. And it goes back to what you were saying, right? Like, where we come from and what we come from, the ability to make certain excuses are not, like, they're not allowed. Or maybe they are, but it's not going to be mom and dad like, oh, let's talk. Like, what do you know? It's going to be, okay, you don't want to do that. That's cool. But that's it.
And usually, you know, our parents back in the day, they took it from a 10 to 100 so quick. Where
Always.
you were like, if you didn't want to go today, they were like, okay, we're not going the rest of the month. I'm not gonna spend the money for you not to, because you missed one session. That's money that they're losing, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so nowadays, you know, it's a little bit more lenient. They like are more understanding with people. Back when we were dear, I mean, I live 5 minutes from Rafael Rivera. You know Rafael Rivera. I was playing in Rafael Rivera before it was a turf field it is today. It was dirt and grass. And when we had a day off, my dad would take me over there and just drag me. And you know,
Rafael Rivera was the first field I was a goalie on. I still tell the story now and then. Shout out to whoever Tommy is. He decided not to show up that day, and I got thrown in goal. And to this day, I probably slightly hate him. But yeah, dude, this kid named Tommy was our goalie, didn't show up. I got thrown in. Rafael Rivera, and that was like where it all started for me.
And when I made my conversion back, we were playing in Junior Cup. Enrique was injured. He was guest playing for us as our goalkeeper. He got injured, but he's like, I'll play on top. And so the first person anyone looked at him was my dad. Was like, oh, you're going back in. You know, and that's in the middle of a semifinal against Neon. I remember it clearly. James Dry was playing.
Okay.
In the team.
Yeah, that's funny.
And so we made it work, and then that's when we were like, okay, we can do this. You know?
Man, it's funny when you connect all that. Now, like, what I want to get to is, you know, where you are today, right? Obviously, you now where you're considering slowing down and playing, and obviously you're coaching a lot more, especially here at KRONIS. I guess what I want to ask is, like, what, and why? Why KRONIS? Why would you want to come here? What attaches you to the brand? Obviously, you know, in January we had the ID camp here, and you were able to meet majority of the KRONIS coaches from a different part of the country. Did you feel like that culture is something that, you know, resonates with you from your youth years, from now as an adult? Like, what do you feel that connection with?
Well, I mean, we've been friends for years, dude, and you saw basically my last 2 3 years were probably the busiest years I
For
had
sure.
playing soccer until what was it last year that I said, you know what, I'm slowing down. I feel like there's so much that I've learned from so many people. I've been blessed to play around professional players that I never thought I was even gonna be near.
Yeah.
You know that I've picked up so much knowledge. When I got injured, my dad stuck around and coached for a year or two,
Yeah.
and I was helping him out. I couldn't really do anything,
Yeah.
so I was helping him up coach, and I was just being his assistant, trying to give the kids as much knowledge. We were working with 11, 12, 13-year-olds, and obviously I got blessed with the opportunity to get a second chance in football, right?
For
and
sure.
play for a Guatemala national team, and I had to stop. But that little stint that I had as a coach, I liked it.
For sure.
Because you see one of the kids in their games and they see, hey coach, like, or they recognize you for helping them something. That's a payoff,
For
right?
sure.
And I felt like we've always talked about it. You always invited me out. You always told me, hey, whenever you want to come out, I was slowing down, but I was getting the reps in with you. You were helping me out, getting reps in, and I would always stick around and watching the community that you grew, and like how the kids, how disciplined they were. I can see how hungry they are about it. I can see how focused they are about it. They're here to work.
Yeah.
You coach, but there's kids that just don't want to be there, and they just do it because parents tell them to do it, right? And I feel that here, the kids are here because they want to do it and they want it.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that's what KRONIS is, right? I feel like when we started KRONIS with the first generation here in Las Vegas, it was very important for me to put that culture in from day one, to know that like this isn't a place that you just kind of come, and if you feel like coming, you come, right? This is a place where, I remember my first class was 98s, so it was the Emberleys, the Jacobs, right? Addison Riddles, all those kind of goalkeepers that are around. And then you go into the O2s where if you look at that O2 class, I think from that whole class that I had, I think only one of the girls out of 7 of them didn't continue playing. And that was because she chose not to, but everyone else, tasted Division I soccer. And that was a culture, right? That whoever comes here, that's what it is, and that was one of my questions I had. Like, what kind of athlete do you feel like we build here, Because now you've seen not just the kids that we have here, but with the camp, who drove in, who flew in, right? Very little Vegas kids came out because we had it in that way, and you saw the kids from Ohio, the girl from Scotland, right?
No, I honestly think that I could confidently say that we deal with a lot of elite level goalkeepers. If they're not the best in their city or their state, they're up there in
For sure.
top 3 or top 5 minimum. And that helps. That even motivates you as a coach, I feel. That because that they're so high in performance, it pushes you a little bit to be more creative, and kind of push them in other ways that maybe they're not getting pushed in Ohio, or maybe they're not getting pushed in California or somewhere else, right? We work with a lot of elite kids, even here, what we have here in Vegas, we easily have some of the best goalkeepers in Vegas, easily, hands down, and so that pushes us into making the quality of the work be higher, right? We can't be stale, we can't stall their performance and their growth. So I do feel like with KRONIS here, we build a lot of high end, and I mean, everything's there, right? Look at where all the majority of our goalkeepers are, right? Look at Nick, look at all these other guys that we have all spread across the country, playing D1, playing D2, and even some that we have playing professionally already, right?
Yeah, I mean, for you, what are things that, if a kid comes in, if a parent brings in their child, let's say, I always manage KRONIS this way. If my dad was bringing me here, what is something he could expect? Or even like your dad, right? And I say that because I feel like, though, for me, my father was one of the pickiest guys, not out of wanting to be that way, because he's not like that at all, but a necessity because there was only so much money. So I remember him taking me to certain places and say, like, nah, we can't go there because it's too far, and I don't have enough for that, right? If a parent today, or if your dad today was to bring you here, what do you think are things that they can expect from how the training goes here, the environment here, the culture here?
I think that what you're really going to get is, I think a lot of that we lack in a lot of places. You're going to get the attention. You're going to get that one-on-one where you're gonna get the focus on you,
Yeah,
right?
the
Where
feeling.
yeah, that feeling that okay, they actually care about me, or he's actually focused on me. When you're training, and there's 15, 16 other people around you,
Yeah.
coach can only say so much to everyone individually, right?
Yeah.
And here we're working with a specific position where you know that you can resonate with what the session is,
Yeah.
right? Or you can easily, we're so approachable, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that coach, if I were to bring my kid out here, I know that if my kid needs a specific thing worked on, I know that that's going to be considered in what we need
Yeah.
when we need development, right? And I feel that we always look at the bigger picture, right? Where we're gonna focus on how he is performance-wise, but we have a plan for the kid.
Yeah.
If he's going in high school, if he's going from high school to college,
Yeah.
you have enough of experience, and I'm coming into that part of it where you know how the water flows after high school, right? And I feel that coaches, or there's other coaches, where they're just focused on making sure you perform.
Yeah.
And you got to figure that part out on your own, right? If you can make it, great.
Yeah.
But they're just focused on you as a player, right? And I feel that here we focus on them as what's after, right?
Yeah. I mean, yesterday I had a coach reach out to me, a head coach. I don't know from where. I think they're from California, and basically, give me his opinion on why he thinks I'm wrong for telling goalkeepers to prioritize goalkeeper development, right? He gave me an example of a 14-year-old girl who, was a great shot stopper, he said, but was bad at, goal kicks, was bad at side volleys, was bad at reading the game, was bad at all these things he can go off, but she was great in goal. And what I try to tell him is, well, realistically, and I think how do you improve those things that you're saying? Right? You improve those things a lot of times by them, the goalkeeper, taking accountability first. But two, that's a tactical head coaching thing. So for me, this gentleman proved more than anything that why goalkeepers should be with goalkeeper coaches. Because you yourself just told me everything that I'm supposed to be doing, I want to blame it on her and her goalkeeper coach because it's affected me in the game. Going back to what you said, right? The performance base of things. They need to be able to perform. And I don't care if they can or cannot, because I'm not going to teach them. And a lot of the metaphors I use to parents, I tell them, imagine your kid taking a test every Friday. And based off that test, you're going to determine if they're understanding the assignment or not. And the reality is that, well, that's us, right? You can't tell your kid, okay, why'd you do bad in this test? I don't know what's happening. Okay, next week, although it's the same subject, different test. I don't know what's happening. Oh, I know this one question, though. Boom. Okay, did a little better. And they don't understand. Hey, why are you all over the place? And I tell them, but if you give them homework, if you have them, then go, I tell them homework is like them watching a game. If then go and they get, a tutor, that's us.
Yeah. We're the tutors.
Now what happens? Well, all of a sudden they get it.
Yeah, because a lot of goalkeeping, for a lot of goalkeepers here in Vegas, their goalkeeping training is taking shots outside the 18 from their own teammates in drills.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to a set piece, they don't know what's left and what's right, or when to come out or when they can't.
For sure.
But when they get scored on, who's to blame?
Yeah.
Whose fault is it? Right.
Yeah.
And I feel that sometimes they get it twisted, right?
Yeah.
They get it twisted.
Yeah. With where you are today, what do you feel separates the goalkeepers, that you've seen or that you've been personal with, that don't achieve what they want to achieve versus the ones that do?
Dude, it's hunger.
Yeah.
In my opinion. How much do they want it?
Yeah.
How bad do they want it?
Yeah.
Like, look at the example of Hallie.
Yeah.
Look at she's traveling to put herself out there, and that's part of it.
Yeah.
You can only do so much playing locally and playing in tournaments, right? You gotta go the extra mile and invest in these camps. Let them see you.
Yeah.
Let them see your face frequently. Because sometimes they just got to see you. They got to remember you. Oh, she was over there 2 weeks ago. Now she's here.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw him in camp. Now he's over here.
Yeah.
That extra mile is going to go a long, long way. And I think that how hungry kids are, right? Like, how bad do they want it?
Yeah.
Because, or some people want to cut, right? They want to go straight from playing club into a professional contract.
For sure.
And so they play the waiting game. Well, I'm just going to pay someone
Call it a day.
and we'll just wait for them.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, that's something that happens a lot when these kids, they don't understand that if they even invest 1 year in college, but make that year a hell of a year for them,
Yeah.
that's all they need.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think it ties back to what you said, right? What's your excuse?
Yeah.
You know, and I love that motto of what's your excuse, and obviously our other motto of earn not given,
Yep.
because I think they go hand in hand with what our position is. You know, there's many goalkeepers that we know and everyone knows in their sport that by talent you think they should have made it, right? And then you go back
Should
on
have, or they actually could have.
right. That's the difference, because we all know those goalkeepers that mentally it's why they fall behind, whether it's they're weak or they're sometimes even too strong for their own good. And I think it goes back with what you were saying. I think when you go the extra steps, no matter what, life isn't gonna pull you away from the success that you want.
Yep, I feel that how much, because at the end of the day, if you don't invest in yourself, no one else is gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right, and I feel it's on the player. How much are you willing to invest to accomplish what you want?
Yeah.
That's either going to college or playing at that next level,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I did it where, thankfully, with the grace of God, that World Cup opened so many doors for me.
For sure.
Right, I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks, and I ended up staying 6 months.
Yeah.
Right, I got an offer, I took it, then I came back.
Yeah.
I hit a wall playing 11v11, but I still felt that I had some more left in me.
Yeah.
I made the conversion to doing professional indoor, and then towards the end, I started seeing the money side of it.
Yeah.
I've done a little bit of everything, but because also a lot had to do with me looking for it.
Yeah.
Right, and obviously in your way you meet a lot of people that help you out.
Yeah.
Right, shout out to Daniel Collazo. When I met him, making money off of this was barely a thing.
Yeah.
And that was me after playing professionally for years, and he gave me the opportunity, and he showed me a different world.
Yeah.
Of basically gave me another lease in playing soccer and finding
Yeah.
that motivation, right?
Yeah.
And I did it for almost 4 or 5 years.
And what I love to hear, and I think it's unfortunate many times in our world, because I think sometimes, I'm no parent, but sometimes the conversations I've had now for the past 15 years with parents and on the topic of what is the most important thing to them, which is their child, sometimes they assume that they deserve more than what they should be getting. And I think with what you're saying, what we all love the idea of I trained hard, I was good, I moved up here, I moved up here, I moved up here, and it all kind of worked out because I did the right things, of course, but we know that life isn't like that.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything what you're saying and what I love about this, and going back to the question, because it keeps sticking with me, of what's your excuse, I think the ability to adjust. When you adjust in life, and especially in our position, because it's so rare that you get to play. I tell kids, there's going to be a day that you're going to fall short. There's going to be a day that no matter who you are in this world, you're not going to be enough.
That's it.
And I think even when it comes to it, right, we all love the idea, and obviously I tasted it with the full ride Division 1, but there's junior college, there's NAIA, there's all these programs that I know for a fact, and we have someone here in the academy where I'm trying to get them and say, look, I know it's not D1, but
here's the thing. Now, D2 and D3 is like playing D1.
Yeah.
Back when we were playing, there was a big level gap, right?
Yeah.
It was either D1 or
I don't know
I'll
about
settle.
That. Yeah.
Now, the competition in football has evolved so much, man.
Yeah.
And there's so many more people in it that you can't even tell. Dude.
Yeah, I mean, I remember my years,
don't see that.
my years at junior college, and I told kids and parents, if your kid can survive junior college, they'll be fine at Division 1, right? Because it's so hard to show up day one, start day one. It's their first taste, because I think a lot of times mentally, the kids still don't know someone's job is on the line now.
Yep.
It's not just mine, right? Their job is on the line too, but nothing's gonna happen to them realistically, right? They're there to go to school, but there's a coaching staff's job on the line if you don't perform. And I try to tell them, if you don't go D1, if you don't want to go D2, D3, whatever it is, NAIA, taste it. Taste junior college, because it goes back with it. It's about pivoting and surviving. There's nothing more beautiful, and you and I both know, of surviving 2 more years of playing this beautiful sport and then saying, you know what, like you said, the lifeline with Collazo of like, oh, now I can extend it even further. You know, you go JUCO and maybe it's not pretty. You know, it was better when I was an ECNL goalkeeper. It was better because mom and dad were paying, but now someone else is paying. I remember my uniforms were so short, right? They were always shrink because they sucked.
Yeah.
But whatever, right? What am
It is what it is.
I'm here to play.
Yeah.
I'm not here to complain about the jerseys. And then all of a sudden, you know, D1 comes. Okay, now I am where I thought I should be. But those little steps of pivoting and adjusting, right? It's what makes us as goalkeepers, and I think is what makes the academy so good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that, for example, when I made that conversion, and I said, okay, I'm gonna give it a try and let's see. It's amateur soccer.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Let's
It is
just
what
go
it is,
have
yeah.
fun. I was being ignorant at the time,
Mm.
right? But when I saw it, it's like playing professional for a weekend.
Yeah.
And you're getting paid to do it.
Yeah.
It turns into a job. I did it from doing, okay, I'm gonna just go this weekend, let's figure it out, to my next 6 months are
Was
booked.
booked, yeah.
And okay, I know Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday I train.
Yeah.
I keep myself fit. Friday I have to take my flight.
Yeah.
I show up. I concentrate with the team.
Yeah.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday we do our thing. Saturday and Sunday we do our thing. Monday we're back to normal. You know, and now you know the kids are lucky that there's endless opportunities. There's so many leagues. There's so many things. If it isn't MLS, there's USL. If there's not, there's USL too. There's professional indoor that is slightly. It's coming up in a rise. It's doing their thing. You got the UPSL. You got all these other divisions, right, that are coming up where there's a living to be made and there's a career to be made. But I think it's important that you're not ignorant, right? And yes, it's as a goalie, you know, we have to be confident in ourselves and we got to have an ego, but also know that something can come out from something small, something big can come out of it.
For sure.
Right? And I feel that that's where that mindset, being mentally strong, because, you know, our position is brutal. We can make 10 saves and it can be a closed 0-0 game, but they score in the last minute. Whose fault is it?
Yeah.
There's nothing behind us than just the net, right? The mindset has to be strong, but also it can't be ignorant at times, right? You got to know that, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to go here yet. I'm going to take this way.
Yeah.
And eventually
Make our way.
I'll connect to that road where I thought I was supposed to be in the first place, right?
No, I love it, man. And I think you said so many things there with, like, you know, I remember your life at that time of, you know, getting there, prepping throughout the week, leaving Friday, and back on Saturday night, and just seeing that consistently, thinking like, holy shit. It made me feel like I'm still young enough I could keep doing this, right? And exactly, you get the itch because it's a motivating factor of someone that is very in your similar life. And I think that alone, man, I think it's such a great way to close this, you know, podcast, whatever, where we look at, you know, that is what KRONIS is, right? The ability to do things that are not necessarily attainable at times, adjusting. And I guess I would want to know your opinion on that. Like, who is KRONIS for?
KRONIS is for everyone. Anyone who's willing to put in the work and has an open mind and believes in themselves. Because we're going to believe in them. Right? If they're here, it's for a reason. If they're going to invest in themselves, putting in the work here is because they believe in themselves, right? So it's for anyone who's willing to put in the work and like you say, earn their stripes and earn that big name, right? Earn that opportunity. So, you know, at the end of the day, the doors I feel are always gonna be open to anyone. Right? No one's never gonna be welcome here. As long as you come with the right mindset, the right energy, and you're ready to put in the work, we're gonna make sure that they get to where they need to get.
I love that. So, no, I mean, I think it goes perfect with our motto, right? Earn not given.
Yep. That's all it is.
Beautiful, brother, man.
Yes,
well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate the time.
Love it. Dude, that was good.
It is.
That was good.
That worked.
Yeah.